Happy Sunday! Happy Sunday! Happy Sunday! Happy Sunday, everybody. Good evening to you. And we are back with another episode of Chit Chat Podcast. So, guess what? It's open chat session today. We're talking about wind down summer. So, go ahead and check in. Let us know where you're checking in from. We want to talk about this summer, how the summer has been, how it's almost ending and where we need to be to finish 2026 strong. So check in with us. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and like and share the episodes that you have been so fond in engaging and liking. But so good evening, beautiful people. We are back. Chit Chat Podcast, where we chat all things women every Sunday live at 5. Chit Chat Podcast is the atmosphere and the platform where we create conversations that inspire healing, growth, purpose, and authentic living. I am your host. If you haven't already met me before, I am Shadana Shan Thomas. I'm so grateful that you have decided to spend this evening with us on this Sunday. So today's episode, Sunday's Wind Down. Grab your favorite drink, whether it's a glass of wine, because I got mine, whether it's a glass of wine, a glass of water, your water bottle, your tea, ice cold lemonade, iced tea, whatever it is, we want you to be comfortable so we can sit here and have a comfy conversation today. So no filters, no judgment, just honest dialogue today. So if you're watching live, please like and share. If you're going to be catching the episode later, please share it as well. So as you're grabbing your favorite drink, get comfortable so we can start this real conversation. I'm excited about open chat session because it's an opportunity for me to get to know you guys. So it's a two-way conversation. So it's not just me talking or one of our guests on talking. It's all of us engaging in conversation. So, your comments, your voice matters. So I like to have these open sessions for that simple thing. So we're going to start with like an icebreaker for today. So with a simple question, I'm going to ask, what's one word that describes your summer so far? So if you can describe your summer so far, what is that one word that would describe your summer? Go ahead and put it in the comment section, and let us know. What is one word that can describe your summer so far? A lot of us probably, did a lot of things over the summer, or we didn't do a lot of things. So what is the one thing, that describes your summer? So drop it in the comments. If it was peaceful, put peaceful. If it was busy, stressful, you was healing on a healing journey, share that. Put it in the comments. We would love to know that. So that's our icebreaker right now. Let's start with that simple question. What's one word that describes your summer so far? I think if I had to describe my summer so far, it has been adventurous. Like I have been on go since, and I probably should put on go, like go kind of thing, or busy, because it's just been adventurous. A lot of things has been happening. My summer started off in May, actually, when my youngest graduated from college. I celebrated Mother's Day and his graduation from college, back to back. I left work in April. And then, Mother's Day came, and then his graduation came. And then after his graduation, I went on vacation and celebrate Jada's birthday. Then after that, it was the pageant time. So it's just been back-to-back things. So that's why I would say it would be adventurous for me, because I have been on go nonstop since May, actually since April, but since May. And that was the start of my summer. And so, but I have no regrets. I loved every moment of it, especially celebrating the moment that my youngest graduated from college, and not just graduated from college, but graduating from an Ivy League where his mother didn't have to pay for his college all 4 years. And so it not only was it a proud moment for me, but it was such a great accomplishment for him. and the things that he's still doing. Right now, he's working on getting his senior thesis published for the Yale Library. So he's doing big things. And I'm excited about the stuff that he has going on. But without further ado, let's get into this chat session for today. So we're talking about current events. Current events, as you can still drop your one word that describes your summer. So as we're talking about current events that's popping up throughout the summer or has popped up throughout the summer, let's talk about what's happening around us. We live in a world where every day brings something new in the headlines, new opinions, and new challenges. So let's talk about some of those things. How do you protect your peace while staying informed in like current events? Do you take a break from social media? Do you limit your news time? Do you pray, meditate? What are some things that you do to protect your peace whilst trying to stay informed at the same time? Because a lot of us want to stay engaged and know what's going on with the world and outside of us. However, we just don't want to get all caught up in the topics and the discussions and the debates that are open up around us based off of current events. So what are some ways that you do to protect your peace? I know mine is I limit the news and I limit what the news that I do listen to. I limit that as well, because not everything is a great source of information. And so you have to be careful where you're getting your information from, if it's like credible and all of that. So that's why I limit a lot of, this candle is like blowing so much. That's why I limit a lot of my news intake as well. But I'm a big prayer person. So daily I'm praying and meditating and all of those things. So those things are important to me. That's a daily thing for me, because it sets the precedence of my day. It sets the precedence of my week, and so on. So, those are the things that I do to protect my peace, while staying informed. So that way I can use discernment. That way I'm not easily pulled in to different things or whatever. I have my own opinion about things. I'm not easily misled to think or believe certain things that is put out there. And then I also know how to check credible sources as well. So that's important. But how do you protect your peace while you're trying to stay informed with current events? I know, because we're talking about summer, spending a lot of time with family. That's important for me. I've been I make sure, when we have the graduation time, that time was spent with family. My aunt came, my sister, my niece and her kids came, and then, his god dad, Tayoka, and his fiance came. So all those things, people just having, that special moment of having the people who are important to you, that time that you spend with family and having vacation time and taking trips with your family. Those are things that make up, and take up the space in our summers that I appreciate, because it's creating memories as well. But what are some things that you guys do to protect your peace? You know, are y'all the problem solvers? Are y'all out there, slaying these problems and solving the problems? Or y'all are just saying, nah, I need to take a break. I need to pull back, take a break. Like, if it wasn't for the podcast, I think I probably would take a break from social media. But because I have the podcast, I think it's important for me to stay engaged on social media and on this platform, so that I don't lose, my audience, and I don't lose my voice for my platform. However, it's so hard because sometimes you want to just pull back, because you want to put more attention on your personal life and personal things and all those kind of things, and not be so engaged and caught up in social media. So, but I think that time is going to come pretty soon. So, and maybe I'll be handing the reins over to, our little executive producer, and tell her, here, Jada, you're going to take over the podcast. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that time is actually, will present itself in due time. But, What do you do to protect your peace? Because that's important. A lot of times we get so caught up in what we reading, what we entertaining, what our mind is focused on or whatever. And, and our peace get bothered. We get feeling uneasy, unsettled, anxiety, and all these things, and don't know where it's coming from. It's because it's what we allowing to be put into our system. Our nervous system gets, triggered when we're putting just anything. You allow anything to enter us, whether it's by, us looking at movies, looking at news, looking at certain things, hearing certain things. Sometimes it comes by us hearing things, conversation, talks, music, whatever the case may be. All these things can trigger us in a way that triggers our peace and leave us unsettled. So what are some things that you do to protect your peace? So that's important to know. So drop that in the comments. If you guys have comments, drop that in the comments. We would love to know that. So one of the conversations I wanted to bring up, I was seeing some different things on social media. And because we talk about relationships a lot on here, and we know that, and we have Mr. Juan come on once a month, and he's the relationship coach and therapist. So, so a lot of our once a month conversations always, it always pinpoints back to relationships or, the family or love unit phase. So I wanted to bring up this topic that I seen on Facebook that that I thought was interesting, and not because it's starting to be more common. People. I won't say just people. I'll say people because I won't just say it's women, but a lot of men too are involved. People are involved with each other for periods of time, and on long periods of time in relationships, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then, there's no commitment there. And then, once that relationship ends, one or the other tends to marry somebody else shortly after. And it doesn't take them 4, 5, or 10 years. So I wanted to bring that up because, we see that happen more often than normal. So what do you guys take on that? Do you think when people have invested years into a relationship with no ring, and then their person, leaves the relationship and marry someone else, how do you guys think? How do you guys view that? Do you think it's something that was already going on, or do you think that the situation was maybe that person, that person and them, hit it off quickly? So what are your guys' intake on that? 10 years together. I saw that and I said 10 years. My thought process for that is I'm not in a 10-year relationship with anybody without a commitment. That's just not going to happen for me personally. There's people that do it. I've seen people do it longer than 10 without commitments, but 10 years, nah, we're not doing that. I'll give you 2, 2, and then at 2, we need to be deciding, where we're headed, because or we need to decide that during those 2 years, because at the end of the day, 10 years, I'm not getting 10 years because you can't get that time back. And so I'm not giving somebody 10 years of time with no commitment and then watch that person become whoever they need to be for the next person. That's not going to happen. So what do you guys take on that? Give us some input. Put it in the comments. I would love to know what you guys' viewpoint on that. So I've seen that in one of my other group chat sessions. So I want to bring that up in our group to see what you guys think about that. Because yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's a lot of time to be investing with someone. 10 years is a lot of time. A lot of time. So what's your input on that? 10 years. Let's hear it. I'm just thinking like, wow, at what at what point were they even talking? I would love to hear with Mr. One. We probably have to bring this up when Mr. One come back on this month, because I would love to hear, because he's always breaking it down to us like, you know, love is a choice, but it's also a commitment where two people, there got to be a common goal and it's the strategy there, and if two people are not on the same page, you know, and I'm thinking 10 years, how are you on the same page and it takes you 10 years and then y'all decide, it's not going anywhere. And then y'all split and then the next person, they decide is the person. So, you know, and it brings me up to a topic that I read probably a couple of years ago, when it said that we have to stop being builder bears. Like builder bears, like we're trying to build, we are being rehabilitation centers for men, where we're trying to build them to the potential or to the point where we need them to be, the capable of being, the provider, the husband, whatever we need from them. However, you know, that's not our job. So they got to come fully potential. They got to have the potential and come fully potential. And we should not be rehabilitation centers for people brokenness, for people unhealed, traumas and the things that they're dealing with, because that's a lot. And, and you talking about people dealing with those things throughout years. And then once they feel like they've accomplished the healing part, they leave and then they decide, oh, I'm going to marry somebody else because I've gotten what I needed to get from that person to heal and become who I need to be. So, so what do you guys take on that? I would love to know what you guys think on that. But when we're talking about look, and another thing from a current event, I know you guys all seen the everybody knows that the Usher and Chris Brown concert is going on. So we seen how the girl was selected to go up on stage for the for Usher when he was up there. And so and then she kind of like dissed him. And I think it kind of hurt his ego a little bit based off how he was looking. So a lot of people had mixed views about that. They was like, well, why did she go there? Because did they know, she knows that, that's what that whole point of being picked to go up there, is for. And then other people was like, yeah, I don't blame her. Like, I don't be doing all this stuff to me. And especially, a lot of girls got a lot of slack from that because they had spouses and significant others back at home when they got selected, and it kind of hurt their relationship or hurt their the things that they had currently going on. So if you're going to the Chris Brown and Usher concert, what's your take on that? If you get picked to go up there, and I definitely want to hear from people who have significant others or spouses. If you definitely get picked to go up there, what you plan to do? I want to know. Look, let us know what's your plans. If you get picked to go up there, and I think I don't think neither one of them gonna pick like a auntie. They ain't gonna pick nobody my age, like 50 plus. I don't think they're gonna pick nobody my age. I think they're gonna pick the younger girls who kind of like that kind of stuff. Because the aunties will probably take over and do a whole show. Like they will become the show. Like, don't pick an auntie up there because baby, you ain't ready, for the cougar stuff and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I think. I think they're gonna stick to the young girls and not do like a auntie type person, 50 plus cougar type woman or whatever. But it's interesting how these shows and how these shows go. And if my best friend is watching, it reminds me of our military days when we used to go to a show back in Tampa during our military days. And every time we would go to a show, the one guy that was doing, he was one of the acts in the show. He would always pick me, and I'll be like, he better not come over here. Every time he would always like pick me, and I was like, like, and I'll be mumbling up on my breath, you better not embarrass me. You better not embarrass me. Because, and I was still young. I was young then, but I was still like, you better not embarrass me. You better not embarrass me. And then I felt bad because every time I was there at the show and he seen me, he would always pick me. And I'm like, pick somebody else. Like, pick somebody else. I don't want these women to come in here who got all their little dollars for you. And they, pick somebody else. Don't pick me. So, but I was probably between 19, 21, 22 around that time. And when I tell you, I was like, every time I was embarrassed because I had no idea what he's going to do, what the show was going to be about, because you don't know. You just get picked and get put up there, and then then they create this show kind of thing. And I was just like, don't you embarrass me kind of thing. But so I can't imagine some of the ladies who do get picked and go up there, like what they're thinking, when they're up there. So, what's y'all thought process on that? Because I'm really curious to know, like, if you get picked to go up there, are you putting on a show? Are you like, how are you responding to being selected? Because most people like, oh, I'm excited because I got selected. But then, other people are like, I don't know about that. I don't want to be embarrassed because I don't know what's going on. So what's your look, I would hate for my daughter to get picked to go there. I don't know what she would do actually. So, but if she got picked to go there, I would be kind of curious to see how she would respond to all of that. So, but that's what we're dealing with, in today's like concert environment, it's entertainment. And so people are trying to engage their audience and include their audience and people and making, fans feel special and included and all of those things. So, you know, I guess, that's what it is. That's what it takes for all of it. I would show them my mama's on my mother on my mama's daughter. Well, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Jada. Oh God. So yeah, they would probably definitely look if they had me on there, I'd be like, look, I'm the one running the show. Like I'll be on took over the whole show. They'd be like, don't pick her no more because she finna take over the whole show. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Jada would probably, yeah. I would be very curious to know how she would respond on there. So yeah, she ain't been to a concert yet. I don't know if she has any plans to go, but she ain't been to a concert yet. But I'm just kind of curious to know where it would go if she did go to one. But yeah. So some of those are some of the things that are going on for the summer. What else we have, Jada? What else we have for summer current events? Oh, yeah. Look. So I don't know if you guys have seen this like surfacing around. It came on my Facebook, and I think I've seen it on my TikTok as well. And so this is, pretty much. It was pretty much a video of a woman. I think my sister sent it to me. Why she sent it to me, I don't know. But she thought, here you go, you can build you a man. But I saw this and I thought it was funny because, and I said it'll be great for discussion. If you had the time and the opportunity to build your ideal man, would that man still be enough for you? Like, will it still be, will it be everything that you need it to be? Because sometimes we think we know exactly what we need in a person, in a place or a thing or whatever, and not knowing what, if it's not in God's will or design for us to have it, it just ain't gonna happen. That's how I see it. But we always have, I know I started out when I was younger, I always said I wanted tall, dark, and handsome. Well, I married total opposite. He was tall and handsome, but he wasn't dark, you know. And so it was always opposite of, everything that I said I wanted. I ended up with something totally opposite. And so, if you had the opportunity to build your ideal man, would it be enough for you? Sometimes we think we want this, X, Y, and Z, and then we get X, Y, and Z, and then we feel like it's not enough. And that's just not just for women too. Men are the same way. Men are sometimes just as picky or more picky when it comes to what they're seeking for in a spouse or significant other. And so if you had the opportunity to build your ideal person, whether it's a man or a woman, would that be enough for you? Will you still think, oh, it's missing something? Or, and I'm reminded of when God created woman from the Bible in Genesis, you know, his ideal was he did not want man to be alone. He wanted a suitable mate for man so that he does not have to be alone. And I think when we go back to the concept of thinking like God thought, what he created the woman for man, then a lot of times we would totally lose like what we depict, in our relationships, or how we want who our person to be, all these kind of things. So but God, intended for man not to be alone. And so that's why one was created, to be that helpmeet, to be that person, that confidant, that partner. And so, we lose concept of that, especially if we're not, Christians, or we don't think in that area of when we're looking for our significant other or spouse. We lose that concept. But and that's why I thought this would be funny to show, because if you're actually putting your man together piece by piece, how would you build him? Would he come with certain things? Would he have to be, he have to be a certain, certain way, a certain build, a certain type, all these things, we're looking for in people, when God knows exactly what we need. And he's probably going to give us the total opposite of what we're seeking and looking for, because we don't know, because if we knew what we needed or what we wanted, we would already have it. No questions about it, hands down. We wouldn't be, aggravated with, even if you're with somebody, you wouldn't be aggravated with the things they do that works your nerves or whatever, because, your ideal person or whatever that God has for you is going to come with all the bells and whistles, and it's going to be exactly what you need, not just what you need, but what you desire as well. So, if you had the opportunity to build your ideal person, whether it was man or woman, would that still be enough for you? Because I know some people are very picky, and so I think, now that most of the times I look at it as, I remember an older woman in my Sunday school class told me years ago, she was like, stop saying y'all have a type. Y'all keep saying y'all have a type. Stop saying y'all have a type, and be asking God to send you what you need, and it made sense. However, I didn't listen to it for years, but it made sense. And now that I'm older and more seasoned, it makes sense to know, that I need, God knows what I need, and I would rather have what I need than basically what I want. But because who I am in him, I know he's going to give me both. He's going to give me what I need and what I want as well. So, because this word says that. Let's see here. So we talked about, it's so funny. We talked about, some of the current events. When I look at this picture, y'all, I cannot help but to laugh, because, and then my sister sent it to me. That's what made it so funny to me, because my sister sent it to me. And I'm just thinking like, why are you sending me this? But it makes me think about what my mom used to say to me all the time when it comes to me and my dating and me having a man. And I'm not going to repeat it here, but it makes me think about what she used to always say. And so when my sister sent me that, I couldn't do it but laugh because I said, it's probably my mama way of saying, send that to Shan. Send that to Shan because that girl needs some help. And it's not that I don't need, I need any help because I used to always tell my mama, I used to always like, you know, I don't want to be kept. I don't want to be kept by the wrong people, mom. Like, but yeah, so those were some funny moments in our family time when my mom used to always pinpoint that on me. So when I see that picture, that's what it makes me think about, those conversations that my mom would have with us, and she would tease me about it. So, but moving right along, because this hour go by so fast. But we talked about we talked about some current events and stuff. So let's reflect a little bit on our summer. Believe it or not, summer is almost over with. This is the last month of summer. Labor Day officially is the end of summer. And so that's in 4 weeks from now. And so, so I want you to take a moment to kind of ask yourself, what did I accomplish this summer? What lessons did I learn? What did I finally let go of? Did I really, position myself to be in a place of healing and peace? What brought me the most joy this summer? So sometimes we become so focused on what's next that we forget to celebrate, what we've already achieved, what already has come, what's already has happened, or whatever. So I want you guys to take a moment to ask yourself these questions. What did I accomplish this summer? What are some things that I did this summer that I didn't have a chance to do at the beginning of the year? What are some lessons that I learned? And what did I finally let go of? What brought me the most joy? So, one of the lessons I would say that I've learned, and y'all already know I've been on this healing journey for a couple of years now. And so we're going on 2 years now. And so one of the lessons that I learned based off a conversation that I have often, and and it's funny, I don't know if this person is listening, but it's funny because they say it almost daily. They say it almost daily and say, and the saying is, God don't miss. And so the lesson that I've learned from that is when you are intentional about positioning or aligning yourself with what God has for you, then God won't miss, and He don't miss. And God don't ever get nothing wrong, right? And so when we look at things in that way, it helps you to kind of position and align yourself with what God wants for you, because God don't give no junk. And so when you are aligned with what God's will for you, for your life, whether it's for your career, your personal life, your relationship, whatever the case may be, He's not going to miss. And so it behooves us, especially those of us who are believers, to make sure that we're aligning ourselves with what the will of God is for our life, because He ain't going to miss. He's not going to miss, you getting the right job, you getting the promotion that you need, you getting the right, being with the right person or meeting the right people, all those things He won't miss on. And so, but we have to make sure we do our part by positioning and aligning ourselves with His will, so we don't get, we don't have those missed opportunities. And so, so that's one of the lessons that I learned. So I'm gonna cheers to that with my wine. But you guys share with some of the things that you've accomplished this summer, a lesson that you learned, something that you had to finally let go of, and something that brought you the most joy. So I don't want to do all the talking. You guys add some stuff in the chat. Yes. And I think one of the things that I would say I finally let go of is my kids are grown. And so as a mom, to finally be in that place where the kids are grown and they're self-sufficiently taking care of themselves, where it's almost like they don't need you anymore. And so it was one of the hardest things. I'm trying to say this without crying. It was one of the hardest things for me to let go. Like, you got to let them go. You got to let them be, kids, young adults, all that kind of stuff. But you want to make sure that you're available if they ever need to reach back, because I'm not trying to be a helicopter parent, being over them and their lives and all the stuff they have going on. But when you get to a place, especially when me and my kids y'all all know that me and my kids are close. And so having this new transition of me, retiring, trying to live my life, figure that out with that transition, and then allowing my kids to start their own lives and doing the things that they need to do for themselves. That's tough, because it's always been us. It's always been us, everything. Me consumed up with their lives and what they're doing and how they're doing things, and me being supportive and me cheering them on and all that kind of stuff. And you guys heard me share it a couple weeks ago when I came back from the pageant, and I said how it was, I almost lost it on stage, because hearing my daughter out in the audience, being so proud of her mommy, out there, and she's cheering me on, and and I almost lost it, because I've always been that person in the audience cheering her or her brother on. And so to hear that or whatever, it almost just like, oh, it almost just took me out. So I had to kind of, you know, you know, get myself together, because I can't lose it. I'm on the stage, kind of thing. But it was such a great feeling or whatever to experience that. And it brought me like one of the most joys, to think about my kids are actually, they're actually young adults. They don't need their mommy anymore. But, if they ever did, quick, fast, in a hurry, y'all know I'm already there. So they said, we know we can always come back, back, what's that, back temporarily if we needed to. And I'm blessed to have a mother like you. Oh, thank you. Grew to be my bestie. So proud of you and seeing you enjoy your life for yourself. Thank you. Look, and I can't say it was an easy thing, because most people are like, oh girl, it's easy. When them kids get out the house, you can you go do you and all that kind of stuff. And I have, because most people was kind of concerned about me when my son was graduating high school, was headed off to college. They were like, what are you gonna do? Oh my gosh, Shannon ain't gonna know what to do with herself. Then I started slowly trying to figure it out. Like, okay, I got to have a life outside of HA. I got to have a life outside of football. I got to have a life outside of Jada or whatever. And when I start figuring it out and start doing things or whatever, look, I was gone. They was seeing me and they was like, where are you going now, mom? Kind of thing. And so, so it took me a minute to adjust or whatever. And then now that I'm into a different transition in life, and I got to look at, what's next for me, because the kids are going to start their lives. They're about to start what they're about to do, on a personal level and career wise, and when they're going to start their families and all that kind of stuff. And so I got to be thinking about my life, the latter part of my life, how I'm going to spend the rest of my life, kind of thing. And so it was a big transition for me. So those are the things that I've been like going through, dealing with, mentally, physically, spiritually, just praying about that and meditating on that, letting go some things that needs to be let go of, and concentrating on the things that bring me the most joy, and and celebrating the moments and the things that I've accomplished, like the national pageant, starting the new businesses, and And look, y'all, so y'all know I'm transitioning, moving down south. And so, and y'all know I have the baking business going on. So I have been doing some things behind the scenes for that and for the other business. And then I told you I want to start a nonprofit, all this stuff. So I got my mind is going, 1,000 miles a minute in this new transitional phase. And but I went to a restaurant this week, and they had some red velvet, I think it was red velvet cake and a regular cake or whatever out. And so and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try the red velvet or whatever. But based off of me, them having only the two selections or whatever, um, you know, I'm going to be talking to somebody about creating them some more selections just from my baking business because, you know, I, look, I'm still going to transition down south. However, I'll make it happen for here while I'm here. But my whole thing is, sometimes you just never know what door opens for you. And so I've been intentional about my prayers to God in this transitional phase, professionally, personally, in relation, all that kind of stuff. And so, just that quick little conversation, about the cakes and me picking a dessert and all that. And she was like, we only have two. I'm sorry, we only have two selections, and I was like, well, it's fine. I said, I'm a baker, so, just having that conversation and all of that. So you just never know when God opens doors or when God gives an opportunity for open doors to happen. And so you just got to be ready. That's why you got to make sure you're positioned, that you align, as my friend always say, God don't miss. So you got to make sure that you're aligned and in position and, in the right way in the will of God for things like that to happen. Because sometimes we get focused on what's next and we forget to celebrate. Oh, like I can't forget to celebrate, the baking business, even though, I'm getting ready to transition somewhere else, I still got to celebrate it. I still got to celebrate Legacy Consulting Group. I still got to celebrate it. Even though I'm getting ready to transition somewhere else, I still have to celebrate it, And then, out when I go on a walking trail every day, I always say that's my therapy. So, and I feel like not only is that my commune time with God, but all last week, I've had nothing but visitations from cardinals while I was on the trail. And so when I walked on Friday with my two grand dogs, I took them out there. We had 3 cardinals show up, and I was telling my sister about it, and I said it's crazy because one the day before, one sat right on the road in front of me and didn't fletch, didn't move, didn't do nothing. Like it wanted me to know it was there and it was right in front of me, and it just stared at me. So I was able to take the picture, and I said, I'm not sure who this is, visiting me, but they were not moving. And then the next day I took the 2 dogs out there for a casual walk, and we had 3 cardinals there. And I was like, okay, it's 3 of them here, whatever. And so, I don't know. It's just all last week I had the visitation of the cardinals. And so, and I've been thinking about the nonprofit that, that God had gave me for, and I wanted to connect it to my podcast and and for a women's group or shelter or whatever for children. However, it's going to be connected to Legacy, my Legacy consulting firm, because it's tied to my mother. And I felt like me seeing those cardinals all last week was just the confirmation I needed or whatever. I was going back and forth with it or whatever. But y'all know I do like to honor my mother with everything that I have accomplished, because I know it wouldn't have been possible for me to accomplish what I have accomplished without her sacrifice, without her giving up some things, without her doing some things, without her, allowing me and my sisters to have the opportunities that we have. And so, now that I have accomplished what I've accomplished, I always want to honor that. I want to honor her in those kind of ways or whatever, because now I'm creating my legacy. I'm her legacy, but I'm creating my legacy attached to my children and my future grandchildren. So, yeah, so when I seen those cardinals, I felt like it was a confirmation for me. So I was like, okay, now I know what it needs to be. And so, now that I know what it needs to be, that's what it's going to be. So, but what are some things that you felt like you accomplished this summer? Because that's important. We got to celebrate ourselves and the things, whether it's big or small. It don't have to be major. If you lost 2 pounds in a month, celebrate it. If you walked, 10,000 steps in a day, celebrate that, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to celebrate what we've accomplished in a day, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And so what we was able to accomplish in one day, some people don't get the opportunity to accomplish that because they're not here to accomplish it, or they didn't, they're not here to share in the accomplishment of those things. So celebrate those small moments, big moments, everything. Look, my little granddaughter Nova, y'all already done seen videos and y'all know about little Nova. Nova has her little page now. Nova's getting popular on social media. So Nova has her a little page now, and so I show her the little, there's a video. I showed her a video, my other phone, and I showed her, I said, Nova, you got a page, because her mama created her page. And I said, Nova, you got a page. Oh my God, you finna be famous. Oh my God. If y'all could have seen the excitement of Nova running around, jumping up, excited, because she looked at the phone, like she looked at, oh, I got a page. And she started running around all excited. And so just seeing that in a dog now, imagine if we celebrated each other like that, or we help other people celebrate their accomplishments or their achievements or whatever. Gosh, y'all know how major that would be if we can celebrate each other like that. We would go so much farther if we celebrated each other like that. Small wins, big wins, whatever the case may be. My best friend is on this. She started her weight loss journey back over, and she's been killing it. And I'm so super proud of her because she's staying consistent. And I told her, I said, that's the key, being consistent. Do it when you don't feel like it. That's the time when you need to do it anyways, because when you don't feel like doing something, do it anyways, because there's something in you trying to keep you from achieving or getting to what you need to get to. So anytime that I feel like I don't want to do something, I do it, because I feel like if I don't do it, then I'm losing, I'm failing, because I'm allowing a certain thing or situation to depict how and when I get to accomplish something. And so I don't want that to be the case. So anytime I feel like I don't want to do something, I don't feel like filling up clothes, let me go and fold up these clothes. Because if I don't, they're going to sit here for another week. So, it's those things that we have to make sure we push ourselves, to accomplish things, whether it's small, big, or whatever. We got to celebrate that. We got to celebrate that. So, you guys highlight something from your summer that you feel like you accomplished, a lesson that you learned. Hey, Wendy. She said, after contemplating for years, I finally decided to go back to school. My family is very supportive. And I'm glad you did this. And that's important. When you have that support system, that's major. And it takes a whole lot of weight off of you, where you can just concentrate on school. When I went back to school years after putting it off, after I got married in the military and started having kids, I had went back to school. And I was like, I started school at Savannah State, went into military, did some schooling online, and then just never finished it. Life just kept happening. And so, but I was determined that I was going to get my degree or whatever. And so, when I went back, my support system, good thing I was there at home in Georgia, because my sister was very supportive, would get the kids out of school, letting them do homework. I would leave work, have to be in Macon to go to class from 6 to 10 for 4 hours in the evening time. And so, and then she would make sure the kids ate, did their homework. She would take them to my house, let them get their bath, get ready for school the next day. And then by the time they go to bed, look, I'm home, getting ready to come home from class. And so it was very helpful for me to be able to focus on school, to get it finished and all of that. And so having a good support system is major. So kudos to you and your family. And I can't wait to hear all about you finishing and all of that. So keep us posted on that, Wendy. So preparing for the end, it is very challenging. Don't get me wrong, but no, it gets greater later. Absolutely. Because once you accomplish it and once it's done, you like, look, and then you might feel like once you're done, you might feel like, I want to go get something else. Because I'm telling y'all, I've been saying I'm done with school. And I don't know why. For some reason, I keep seeing these doctoral programs coming up. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing no more schooling. I just retired. I'm not doing no more schooling. I'm not doing it. Or whatever. And then I was like, no, let me focus on these businesses. But yeah, you'll get finished and start achieving other things. Or let me get a certification in this. Let me get this. So you'll start, pushing yourself because you feel like, oh, I accomplished that. So, God gives us the opportunity to look back on, look what I just, took you through and you was able to accomplish that. You could do that. You could do this and you could do that. So a lot of times we limit ourselves with our thinking. I always say our stinking thinking. We limit ourselves when God is already making provisions. We can do all things through him. So he made provisions for us to do that. And so we got to take the limits off ourselves. But kudos for you and keep pushing, keep doing it. And if some of you guys are doing some things that you didn't put in a chat session, keep pushing, keep doing it. Just don't quit. Never put yourself in a position where you quit or whatever. You can start over as many times as you need to, but just do not quit. So, but look, so we're August, y'all, 2026 is flying by. So we're August. So we need to be preparing for the end of the year. We have a few months left in the year. So like I just said, this is not the time to quit. Maybe January didn't go like you planned, February, March, or whatever, because life be happening. But guess what? You still got time. We're in August, you still got time. So what's a goal that you refuse to give up on? What is a goal that you refuse to give up on? And what habit do you want to develop before the year ends? What habit do you want to develop before the year ends? And what goal you refuse to give up on? I think one of the habits that I want to develop before the year ends, I want to, we always say we trust God. And I do trust him, but sometimes I don't totally trust him. And I want to totally trust him, like totally give it over to him and trust him. Like, I don't want to put my hands on it. I don't want to think about it. I want to totally trust him. And so, and I'm praying about it. God, help me to yield these things to you where I don't touch it. I don't think about it. Once I pray about it and release it to you, it's done. It's gone. So I want to be able to have that habit of developing a total trust in God. God, here it is, whatever it may be, whether it's small, big, whatever the case. God, here it is. Fix it, Jesus. Do it. That kind of thing, because a lot of times we say we trust God, but then we put our hands all in it. We feel like God needs our help. But I want to totally be able to do that before the year ends. So that's one of mine. So, but if you have a goal, refuse to give it up. I'm not giving up until I come. If it takes me the rest of the year to lose 10 pounds, let me take the rest of the year, lose the 10 pounds longer. I'm still trying. People got to make sure that they stick to something. Don't ever put yourself in a position where you give up. You can start over, but just don't give up. So y'all still have time. Um, and then we need to be thinking about, because the year is almost at an end, what are some things we need to leave behind? There's some things that have transpired for us in 2026 that we know that we don't need to carry on in 2027. And so, what are some things you know you need to leave behind? There might be some things, there might be some people, it might be some places, all those things that we know I cannot carry this in 2027 if I'm asking God for what I'm asking God for and trying to get where I need God to place me. I know there's some things I'm gonna have to leave behind. I know there's some people I'm gonna have to leave, some habits I'm gonna have to leave behind, all of those things. So what are some things that you know that you need to leave behind, you know, as we progress in the rest of the year? So, so my encouragement to you is to complete this sentence. Before 2026 ends, I will, and you fill in the blank. So before 2026 ends, I will what? I will blank. So you fill in the blank for yourself. Let's speak those things out loud. So all this week, that's what I want you guys to be doing. Encourage yourself, encourage other people. Before 2026 ends, I will have accomplished, or I will be on lost 10 pounds, or I will be on saved, this amount of money, or I will be on did this. Whatever it is that you know that you need to do or you need to accomplish for the remainder of the year, fill in that blank. Before 2026 ends, I will what? So you put that in. So, we need to be serious about speaking those things to be as if they were. So, and then if you don't have everything figured out, that's okay. Sometimes we think we need all things figured out, and you don't. Growth isn't always loud and healing isn't always visible. Sometimes, people like, well, I'm going through some stuff or whatever. Okay. Well, just let us know if you need something, or if you need someone, or whatever the case may be. Healing don't always have to be visible. Growth don't always have to be loud. Success is not always immediate. There's times that we got to work in between some things for success to happen. But if you keep showing up, if you keep believing, if you keep planting seeds, your season is going to come. So you just can't give up. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep believing. You got to keep planting those seeds, and you got to keep showing up. Your season will eventually come. And when it's not your season and you see it's other season, cheer those people on when it's their season, because if it's their season and God has touched them and it's close to you, then guess what? It is in due season. It's going to be your time too. So cheer people on. I'm always celebrating people. I'm always celebrating others, because I know what it felt like when I didn't have people celebrating for me. I didn't have people cheering me on. So I want to make sure everybody's connected to me. If I know that you're trying to do something, I'm trying to be supportive. If you're trying to accomplish something, look, you need an accountability partner. I've gone on fast with friends. I've been praying with friends, just different things, because you have to be intentional about making sure that you're cheering for others and showing up for others. Because when it's your time, God's going to make sure it happens for you. And so that's how we got to look at it. That's how we encourage each other. That's how we empower each other. That's how we build each other up. So we got to make sure that we challenge each other in that kind of way. And especially if we're looking for big things from God in 2026. So this week, I'm challenging everyone to do 3 things this week. 1, I want you to write 3 things that you're grateful for. And it can be anything, your children, your support system, all these things, and take 1 action towards a goal that you've been procrastinating on, whether it's doing yard work, cleaning out a closet, keeping gas in your car all week, whatever the case may be. Take an action toward a goal that you've been procrastinating on all year, from January to August, that you've been procrastinating on. take action towards that goal this week. You know, if it means as soon as the clothes come out the dryer, I'm folding them up. I'm not leaving them in a basket for a whole week. You know, be intentional about it. And then number 3, encourage someone else who may need your encouragement today. Because I'm telling you, kindness goes a long way and it costs us nothing. You know, you can change someone's entire day just by being kind to them. You can change somebody's trajectory of their whole life by just being kind to them. It costs us nothing. It costs us entirely nothing. You are a very supportive friend, and thank you for being there and being you. Oh, thank you, boo. Love you. So that's y'all challenge this week. Those 3 things. Write 3 things down that you're grateful for. Take action towards something you've been procrastinating on. And I want y'all to be intentional about this, because I'm telling you, if you're intentional about it, watch how God bless you this week. If you are intentional about these 3 things, watch how God bless you this week. And I'm going to speak that. I'm going to speak that, and I'm going to speak it, and I'm going to speak it and decree and declare. If you are intentional about this challenge this week, watch how God blesses you this week. Right now, 3 things you're grateful for. Take 1 action towards a goal that you've been procrastinating on, and encourage someone who may need your encouragement today. So this weekend, you hear somebody be like, yeah, it's just been a tough week, or I've been going through such and such. Encourage them. Encourage them. Take that opportunity. Be like, oh, wow, here come that opportunity that Shan was talking about. So, you know, but that's what I'm challenging you guys to do this week, you know, and when you've done it this week, try to incorporate it for the rest of the year and watch how God blesses you in ways that you didn't ever see coming, because that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to support each other, love each other, support each other, be encouraging each other. When I'm telling you, you know, our Chic Chat podcast platform, you know, we are here to inspire, encourage, support, and motivate. We say the everyday woman, but that's any person, you know, any person that is attached to this platform. That's what we're here to do. And I totally believe when we empower each other, we empower our communities, because we're the ones out there doing it. We're the ones out there doing what we do for our jobs, supporting the kids in these sports and different extracurricular activities. When we empower each other, we empower our communities. So that's your encouragement and challenge for this week. And I can't wait to hear some of the things that's going to happen if you guys are sticking to it, because I know how God works. I know how he works. So if you believe in that and want to do that challenge, do it and watch how God blesses this week. So, but thank you guys so much. That I told y'all the hour go by so fast. Thank you guys so much for spending Sunday with Chic Chat Podcast. I hope today's conversation, even though it's open chat, you know, and encourage you, you know, if it did, share this episode with someone who needs it. You know, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, with Chic Chat Pod. That's our name on all those platforms. And we're on LinkedIn as well. Until next time, continue to create your inner courage, protect your peace, and remember you are stronger than you think. I am your host. If you have not already know who I am, Shadonna, I go by Shan. And this has been our summer wind down. Look, have an amazing week. Cheers to everyone for a week that's going to be amazing, for a challenge that you're going to accomplish and achieve this week, and for the testimonies that's going to come from it. So here's to that. Cheers to that. And I will see you guys next week. Hi, Mr. Sutton. Good to see you. Keep it a great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. So cheers to you guys. Have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you guys back next week. Have a good one. Bye.